According to the team's general manager, GM Jason Light told the Rich Eisen show it's a possibility they could extend Brady, who turns 44 this summer. Brady has 1 year left on his current deal. Buccaneers linebacker Jason Pierre-Paul, having left knee surgery today, he had arthroscopic surgery on that same knee to clean up cartilage last summer. Chiefs tackle Mitchell Schwartz had back surgery today. He missed the end of the 2020 campaign. In baseball, White Sox first baseman and reigning AL
And welcome into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us here. We've got a lot to get into today. We're going to talk about who is the modern defensive line university, DEU, ladies and gentlemen. We've talked about that before a little bit with we've been doing wide receivers and we do like linebackers the other day. I mean, we were doing all kind of stuff, okay, to be completely honest. So I think it's going to be fun today to do the defensive ends. There is a theme here, and some folks are going to be like, Rob, come on, man. I thought you talked about all kinds of other sports, and I do. But it's funny because the same university keeps coming up and up again, which says a lot about the fact that we are we're in the Alabama age now. So yeah, there's that. So we'll get into that momentarily. But we're also going to talk today a little bit about the Tiger Woods saga and how people are saying things they shouldn't be saying. We'll get into that as well. And, of course, we'll take time for your calls at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you want to join us here on the rundown. So let's start. The defensive end university. Very interesting. Who comes out at number one? Actually, no, it's not. You follow a theme here. If you follow from the weeks before. Shout out to Brandon watching online today. Appreciate the folks watching on YouTube, of course, Facebook, and the Fox Sports Radio page. Appreciate you guys checking us out there. The big thing with this, though, is that I normally do South Carolina and Clemson where they are as far as defensive, where they are on the list. So South Carolina, since 2010, same rules that I use with everybody else. It's the past 10 years. Modern day defensive ends. Where they put them in the league and where they end up, how long they end up being there, that's kind of what we go after, okay? So, South Carolina has, in the past 10 years, Javon Kinlaw last season, first round going to the 49ers. DJ Wanham, fourth round going to the Vikings. Jadeveon Clowney in 2014, number one overall pick. Devin Taylor, fourth round pick in 2013. Melvin Ingram, a pretty good player there for the Chargers. I think he was more of a linebacker though, but plays some defensive end. Still a good player there for the Chargers. And Cliff Matthews, seventh round, 2011 pick for the Falcons. Now, there's a couple of guys on there that really stand out for me. I don't think Kinlaw and Wanham have been in the league long enough where we can actually make an assumption that they're going to be great. But Clowney, I think that it's safe to say, and people can get upset with me about this, but he hasn't exactly had a number one overall pick type of career. All right. If you don't agree with that, feel free to respond on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good or call me up at 803-978-1832. In fact, Melvin Ingram's had a better NFL career, I think, than Jadeveon Clowney has. Just my personal opinion. Respond to that, 803-978-1832. That's where South Carolina is. That's not good enough to be in the top three. Number 3 on the list is the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, there are some great players here. We'll start with Geno Atkins, 2010 4th-round pick, 134 starts, 2-time All-Pro. So that obviously is really good. Justin Houston, 2011 3rd-round pick, 112 starts. He is also an All-Pro. And then we go down from there. Leonard Floyd, drafted 9th overall in 2016. Jordan Jenkins, drafted in the 3rd round. Jarvis Jones in 2013. John Jenkins, Lorenzo Carter. Let's see here. D'Angelo Tyson, a 7th-round pick. Cornelius Washington. And let's see here. Other guys drafted. Jeff Owens in 2010. DeAndre Walker in 2019. Cade Weston in 2010. And I think that's it for the Georgia Bulldogs. So there you go. Georgia right there in the mix. Okay. But not quite enough to get them up near the top. Then we go into number 2. Number 2 goes to the Clemson Tigers. Vic Beasley, 8th pick overall in 2015, has been an All-Pro. Although he's had some issues getting off as far as they kind of gave up on him in Atlanta, to be honest with you. Cleveland Farrell, 4th pick overall in 2019. Jarvis Jenkins, 2nd-round pick in 2011. Shaq Lawson, 1st-round pick in 2016. Andre Branch, a 2012 2nd-round pick. Grady Jarrett, a 2015 5th-round pick, but he's been really good there for the Falcons. Dexter Lawrence, 2019 1st-round pick. People think that he is going to be one of the nice young blue chip pieces that they have up there with the Giants. DJ Reader, 2016 5th-round pick. Christian Wilkins, 2019 1st-round pick, making his way down there with the Miami Dolphins. Dequan Bowers, remember Dequan Bowers' recruitment where everybody's like, man, this is the number 1 player ever? Didn't really hold up to it there. But Dequan Bowers, 2011 2nd-round pick. Brandon Thompson, 2012 3rd-round pick. Kevin Dodd, 2016 2nd-round pick. Malachi Goodman, a 4th-round pick. Carlos Watkins, a 4th-round pick. Austin Bryant, a 4th-round pick. Ricky Sapp was in the 5th round, and that rounds it out for Clemson. The best on that list, though, I think you got to go with Grady Jarrett, and I think you got to go with, of course, Vic Beasley right up there up top. Jenkins was great, too. Started a ton of games. That puts them at number 2. Number 1 overall, surprise, 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 Alabama. And you look at the list of guys that have come from Alabama. Marcellus Darius in 2011, an All-Pro guy, picked 3rd overall. Jonathan Allen in 2017, a 1st-round pick. Other 1st-round picks, Deron Payne, drafted in 2018. Let's see, there's other 1st-rounders. 2nd-round picks include Courtney Upshaw. Quinnen Williams was obviously a 1st-round pick, too, with the Jets. Terrence Cody, man, that was a big boy. Remember him like just clogging up lines. Dalvin Thompson, a 2nd-round pick. 2nd-round pick for Ryan Anderson. And then you have, let's see, your 4th-round picks include, as my notes are scrambled here, Deshaun Hand. And then you had Ed Stinson in the 5th round. Tim Williams in the 3rd round. Isaiah Buggs in the 6th round. Joshua Frazier in the 7th round, Christian Miller in the 4th round, Jeffrey Pagan in the 4th round, or 6th round, and Jesse Williams in the 5th round. I think that's sort of like yesterday, where we had like Alabama's here and then Clemson's a step below them. I think Georgia's right there with Clemson, though. I really do. So that is the list there for defensive NU. Right there with them, though, you can argue maybe LSU, maybe Ohio State. They could be 4th or 5th, depending on how far you want to go. You can also go with Wisconsin there as well. And another couple of interesting spots. Pittsburgh. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Pittsburgh puts a lot of linemen in the defensive linemen in the NFL. Same thing goes for Mississippi State. So there's that. All right, so we'll take calls on that. Obviously, it seems like I'm doing Alabama stuff all the time here, but Alabama puts a ton of guys in the league. I can tell you this. We're going to do QBU on Friday when my intern, Mr. Savage College Football, comes in, and Alabama's not going to be number one at QBU. So if you're one of the Alabama haters out there, you can be sure we will not have that on Friday. Brandon asked online, who's the best Gamecock in the NFL? He says Gilmore, Stephon Gilmore. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much an easy go of it there, in my opinion. I think that Gilmore's kind of on the end of his career, but I think he's the best Gamecock in the NFL right now. For the best Clemson player in the NFL, it's Deshaun Watson, but if you're going defensive lineman, you'd probably go maybe Christian Wilkins. Maybe. I don't know. Shout out to G Bama Online. He missed where his university in the Rob rankings was crowned number one. There you go. He's like, I didn't have to show up on time. I knew that anyway. Anyway, we'll take your calls on that at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Looking forward to the quarterback portion of it because, you know, quarterbacks can come from anywhere. You've got guys that have played at smaller schools like Josh Allen and, you know, several other folks that are, that you really, don't really think quarterback when they go there, but, they are putting guys in the league. Brock says Clemson and South Carolina are not QBU. I don't think they're QBU right now. I venture to say 5 years from now, when we do this list again, ladies and gentlemen, and we may reevaluate every year at the end of the season. I don't know. I think Clemson with Watson, Lawrence, and Ugunlele will be one of the top three. I truly believe that. If you want to respond to that, 803-978-1832. By the way, on the blog page today, I was doing my best to keep you informed earlier today. I have to read this comment, and it's so funny sometimes because my online folks should have their own show. I don't know if we're going to get to a point where they could just, maybe they just need me to read it for them. But 90 Justin L on YouTube says, let's not forget how Tennessee baseball team is trolling on the football team with McDonald's bags. I have to find that story. If the Tennessee baseball team is trolling the Tennessee football team with McDonald's bags, that to me is the most outstanding story of the day. And I will write up that on my blog page as soon as this show is over. 90 Justin L, if you could forward me that, I would be beyond appreciative, sir. I'll share the whole thing here momentarily. Will says Hunter Renfrow and Deebo Samuel are pretty good. Yes, those are two good players too. I got to find it on Twitter, man. Let me find that later on. G Bama says Clemson and Alabama will be in the top 3 of QBU in 5 years. Yeah, send me that story there, 90 Justin L on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. I really appreciate that. One other interesting note came out today. One NFL analyst, if you follow the blog page, you would already have seen this by now, which, hey, just go and check out the blog page. I write up stuff all the time. Everybody wants Deshaun Watson. We've talked about him a good bit. I don't know if they're going to trade him or not. Barry Jackson from the Miami Herald says the team is obviously looking into it. Peter King from Pro Football Talk says this is what it would take for the Miami Dolphins to get Deshaun Watson. This is what he thinks. Christian Wilkins, Tua Tagovailoa, first-round picks in 2021, so the third overall pick this year and 2023, and second-round picks this year and 2022. Now, that sounds like a lot, and it is, but King defended it on Twitter. And I like when somebody writes something, a lot of guys, they'll go into a hole Okay. They'll write something and put it out there and make people angry. Peter King is basically a guy that he'll respond to folks when he puts stuff out there. He said, quote, "That's way too much to give up for one player." He goes, "Ask this. If you had a top 5 QB in football, age 25, would you trade him for 2 very good players and 4 high draft picks? No. Watson price should be high. Never been a deal of a similar quarterback." And so I started thinking about it. Now, Peter King's been, he got his start basically following Parcells. Okay. So he understands all of that. And he puts this out there. And I started thinking, has there been a quarterback that is as coveted as Deshaun Watson is right now? And as far as been in the league and made themselves known that they can play. So when I stop and think about it, I'm like, you know what? He's right. And I'm in the camp. You can't give up your whole team. But I didn't say it. Peter King said it. Nobody of this caliber of quarterback has ever really been on the open market. So would you give up that much? If I'm the Dolphins, I think obviously I'm not going to need Tagovailoa anymore. I don't know if I would give up Christian Wilkins, who's turning into a good defensive end for them, or defensive tackle. But giving up the rest of the draft picks are like the lottery. I understand you need them. But in the end, if you look at the past drafts, you can get good players in the second round. I can look at if we just look at Alabama, second round picks getting 50, 60 starts in the league from my defensive end stuff. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense to trade that first round pick. And hopefully you have a good scouting department that can go and help you out with that. On the other hand, I don't know enough about Miami to know if they've got the offensive line to protect Deshaun Watson. Would he even accept a trade there? So you can respond to that at 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown. Will says Deshaun Watson just needs a very good offensive line. He needs more time to scope the field. What makes him great is the fact that he makes quick decisions. Bama Boy asked, why have I given up on Tua Tagovailoa? I have not given up on Tua Tagovailoa. I think that he says, I'm going to eat crow after this season. Look, it's not an issue of me. I'm not being paid to put him into games down there. They had him in games this year, and they ended up pulling him and putting in Ryan Fitzpatrick. It has nothing to do with me. It tells me the coaching staff doesn't trust him enough to go out there and win games. Now, could he be the guy that goes out there and does it? Yeah, absolutely. But if I had to choose between Deshaun Watson and Tua Tagovailoa right now, I'll take Watson because he's already proven he can do it in the league, and he's only 25. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you want to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon on Fox Sports Radio 1400, of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Appreciate folks checking us out there as well. As I'm going to find the story about, and I'm not joking here, I want to find the story about the Tennessee baseball team trolling the football team. Wow, that's great. All right, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you want to join us here on the Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Look, I don't think that he's going to be a complete bust. I'm just saying I think that maybe the Miami coaching staff is stupid. Heck, I don't know. That could be a part of it. No way. Wow, that's a great story. I'm in training for that, Nick Teros. I wish I knew how to pronounce your name correctly. My meet is August 15th. So there you go with that. If we get to 10,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, I will wear the singlet for the show. There you go with that. Okay, Nick. And I wasn't being disrespectful. I just don't know how to pronounce your name, sir, to be honest. But yeah, if we get to 10,000 subscribers, I'll wear the singlet on the show. I don't care. I'm going to go in front of people with it on anyway. I'm going to what I'm trying to lift. Now, bear in mind, I'm 41 years old, and I'm trying to, for my weightlifting competition in August, my coach and I set a record for me to do, I think it's a 600-pound deadlift. So we're going to see if that works out. I don't know. I think I'd be happy with 550, but my coach is pushing me to do 600 pounds. I've done 525 pounds in the past year. So we'll see if I can do that or not. And I don't know why they're making me wear a singlet. No clue. Doesn't make any sense. But hey, there's that. Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app. Sure as fire here. We've got the story. Tennessee baseball uses McDonald's bag to celebrate home run. Can the Tennessee football program fall any farther? In case you missed it, was it a couple weeks ago? We talked about how they were paying players with McDonald's bags. They put, the McDonald's bag, fill it up with money, whatever. Would it be funny if you got a McDonald's bag thinking it's going to be money and ends up being just some chicken nuggets? That'd be hilarious. But now the Tennessee baseball team is trolling them senseless. During a recent, I'm going to put this up on the blog page later on, 21-1 win over Arkansas Pine Bluff. Way to go, Tennessee. Schedule Arkansas Pine Bluff. Oh, man. One of the team's players held up a McDonald's bag after rounding the bases following the home run. And I've got the clip below, and we're going to we're going to put that up there, put that out there. But basically, just before reaching the dugout, he holds up a McDonald's bag just before he comes in. I guess that's bringing home the money. I don't know. So Blake online says, if it was a regular Joe instead of Tiger Woods, would regular Joe be handcuffed to the hospital bed right now? That kind of pivots into my story I was going to talk about with the Tiger Woods thing really quick. Will says that is a Happy Meal. Very good. By the way, the stuff with Tiger Woods yesterday, if you were following it, some people were following it like, oh my goodness, he's passed away. And a lot of times with news stuff, people just put things out there just to get the most reaction out of them. And CNN yesterday put something out there that was, in my opinion, not exactly the smartest thing in the world. Now, people are like, I can't believe the CNN, this with the political end of it. And I'm not getting into that. This is their sports reporter who came out yesterday during the Tiger Woods stuff. His name is Andy Scholes. And he said this yesterday, right after the Tiger Woods accident. And here it is. This makes me cringe.
I mean, Brianna, stunned, I guess, but not entirely surprised by, what we're seeing here. Tiger back in 2017 was found by police, pulled over the side of the road, asleep in his car. He had said he had taken a lot of painkillers at that time because we all know Tiger's undergone a lot of surgeries over the years, and painkillers have become a part of his life.
Okay, so let's stop and slow down for just a second there. The single car crash, according to the LA County Sheriff's Department, is under investigation, but Woods was conscious, according to the Sheriff's Department, and showed no evidence of impairment. Now, it's important to know that came out later in the day after this buffoon said those statements there. So he's just making stuff up as he goes. Let's just put stuff out there and we'll just make it up. No big deal. We'll make it up. It's awesome. He should be ashamed of himself. And the news people that I've worked with, if Christopher Thompson, our sports director, if I said something like that without any validity, he would probably punch me in the face. Seriously. Get things right, ladies and gentlemen. That's the first part. It is insane the way that some of this stuff comes out, where people just put out whatever they want and then go from there. I don't know if Tiger Woods was speeding or not, but according to what the LA sheriffs have said, and we have to go by what the cops say because they're the ones that are doing the investigation, he was not impaired. No evidence of impairment. Let's make sure we put the exact statement out there. But CNN has to put this out there. They should be absolutely ashamed of themselves for the way that they handled this yesterday. And I'm sure that someone is going to eventually get to them and either A, give them a stern talking to, or B, someone might file suit against them because they're putting out false information. All you got to do is follow the timeline. This doesn't take much. Blake says, I bet he got pain pills after recent back surgery. I get that, but if you follow the timeline from before, he was out playing golf and everything the day before with Dwayne Wade. So, and David Spade. I'm not saying that he was impaired. I'm just saying that the sheriff's office says that he was not. And with that, you got dummies saying dumb things. 803-978-1832. By the way, serious injuries to both of his legs, according to the LA County Sheriff's Department. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but we shall see. Blake says that's an implied consent. Okay, I get that. G Bama Boy says folks have single car accidents all the time. That's a good point. Why would Joe Smo be in handcuffs? It was a single car accident. I don't know. I just know that statement doesn't make any sense to me. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you want to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, around the world on the iHeart Radio app, as we get you set up today. By the way, big day on the basketball front. Clemson will play Wake Forest in about 1 hour. 1 hour. So you've got an early matchup there. Clemson hasn't played a game in 12 days. Now, Wake Forest isn't the best team in the ACC, but you're going on the road. Could this be a stumbling block for the Tigers? Definitely worth your watch if you're going to catch that later on, because this could shake up the ACC standings a little bit. If Clemson wins, they could be a 5 or 6 seed if they could, keep the ball rolling here. The rest of their schedule is not that tough. South Carolina tonight, they've lost 5 straight games. Can they bounce back on the road at Mississippi State? Heading down to Starkville. And have lost 5 straight. They played Mississippi State here a couple of weeks ago. They were up like 3 points with like 12 minutes to go and lost by 16. And Frank Martin was talking about the big thing that was big about Mississippi State is that they set a lot of, he called them physical screens. So that's one of the interesting things. So he thinks that's going to be the thing. They have to be able to run through some of these screens and try to get in on these Mississippi State guys at the top of the key, is what he said in his press conference yesterday. Blake Online likes Frank Martin over Coach Howland out at Mississippi State. Coach Howland is an interesting coach. his time at UCLA and everything else. Yeah. Hadn't really been doing what he needs to do. I mean, they've won, I say that, but they've had 3 straight 20-win seasons. So I don't really know what you want. I don't know. But South Carolina's lost 5 in a row. And wouldn't it be just the most Gamecock thing ever? And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just, it seems like the Gamecock basketball team is up and down, up and down, up and down. Would anybody be shocked if they went in and knocked that out and got that win? Justin online says they will not cover the 5.5 against State. I don't know. It seems like South Carolina lacks the man in the middle. Like if this team had Mike Kotsar on it from last year, it might be a little bit different story. But we'll see how that matchup is tonight as the Gamecocks will play on the road there. And we've got college baseball. Yesterday, South Carolina looked like they hit 7 home runs, something like that. 3 of them from Wes Clark as they tuned up Winthrop yesterday as they get set for their matchup with Clemson this weekend. We'll see how that matchup turns out. Clemson's got a lot of guys that aren't playing this weekend. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But plenty of other things we're going to get into today here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, I know, Brandon, you're right, but Howland had that one team with I think James Harden on that team? No. Was it Russell Westbrook? I can't remember. I think, and that's a valid point there. Frank Martin looks like I've goofed and said that the basketball team's turned him into looking like Uncle Fester, but he doesn't look as healthy as he has before. And I think he's caught COVID twice. So I had COVID back in July. It's no joke. I mean, it wears you out. And I'm not making fun of anybody that gets it. But, I mean, I had it the one time, and there was a piece in July where I was just like, oh, my goodness. I can't get my head right, man. I mean, and I couldn't. Nothing I could do could, it was like I had trouble breathing for a little bit, and that is interesting. What's wrong with Frank Martin? I had trouble breathing a little bit, and then just fatigue, man. I'd get off the couch and I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't do anything. I mean, I honestly could not do anything. It was an absolute mess. Absolute mess. It was terrible. Brother, with mine, I mean, literally, I felt like I was just floating, dude. It was pretty bad. I couldn't taste anything for like a week. Being a chunky guy, I got to be able to taste things. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us. If you want to talk about anything we've been over today, including in the latest Rob rankings, defensive end U is Alabama. They will not be QBU. Promise you that. Clemson's number 2 in those rankings. Georgia at number 3. You can make the argument that Georgia could be number 2. I don't think anybody's catching Alabama, though, just by the amount of sheer numbers. So there's that. We're talking about Frank Martin online. People were asking that watch from afar via our Facebook streams, etc. Is what's wrong with Frank Martin? He doesn't look healthy. Well, Coach Martin, of course, has had, according to reports, COVID twice. And after dealing with COVID myself, that could really, really wear you out. 803-978-1832. Texas A&M's athletic director announces fan capacity of 100% for the September 4th game against Kent State, according to Blake online here. That is a big deal because with that, that's going to be, I guess, expected across the country. If you can have it at Texas A&M, you know everybody else is going to want to be on board with that. So, wow, that's a big story there as we go through the afternoon here. We'll see if how that comes out. I'm making sure that that's a report from online, but interesting stuff there. Let's go out to the phones. And welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rob. It's Bobby and Casey. How are you?
Bobby, what's up, brother?
Okay, well, two interesting stories bringing up attendance. I had sent you a couple things about the capacity that's going to be allowed. The state of governor of the state of North Carolina just announced what would be allowed. Looks like it'll be about 3,100 in Greensboro for the, I don't know, I assume it's both the men's and the women's basketball.
Yeah, they're playing both the men's and the women's tournament up there in Greensboro. Now, before they had said that it would only be just personnel and guests of the personnel there. So there was going to be maybe 1,000 people there. But from what you're sending me, and I'll read this here really quick if you give me 1 second, Bobby. An ACC spokesperson says conference is evaluating potential fan attendance for the ACC tournament in Greensboro after Governor Cooper's announcement allowing additional area fan attendance. ACC said last week will be limited to family and team guests.
Okay.
Yeah. So they got to go back on that.
Yeah. Here's another thing. The reason why I'm bringing it up, I don't know if I sent you, but Roy Williams is rapidly approaching his 900 career coaching victory.
Right.
So that's what they call the Dean Dome, the Dean Smith Center in Chapel Hill. There's where the governor, I don't know, a packed house, but a reasonably decent crowd to see if and when North Carolina plays that game, since he's so iconic to basketball, where Krzyzewski, Dean Smith, Roy Williams, these great Tobacco Rose schools for those who follow college basketball. Me growing up in Miami, I knew about all the legends. Yeah, like that they would allow to see that very, very historic milestone for him. I'm not really a North Carolina college basketball fan, but I did grow up watching Michael Jordan with playing there and with the Bulls because I was young enough or old enough, whatever you want to say, that lived through that. But it's just interesting. My big thing too is, since we both really love hockey, hockey doesn't have the TV networks of the other three major U.S. sports. Right. The walk-up tickets that would be allowed to sell would help offset all the money the Carolina Hurricanes have lost too. Think about it. Yeah, that's a good point too, man. And then also, and I did go to one of their games. It's a great experience. The Charlotte Checkers are their AAA or AHL affiliate. That's true too. So they need to be open, allowing people to come in, pay for parking concessions and tickets to stay in business. It's a good point, man. It's already affected the minor league folks in baseball. Hey, thanks, Bobby. You're always welcome, sir. All right, there you go. Bobby bringing us good stuff every day. Cheap Mammoth Boy says, I believe it when the SEC commissioner announces it. Come on, man. Stop with the riding the SEC coattails thing. Another note here. North Carolina at Duke, that matchup at the Smith Center, they're going to have over 3,200 fans. A report here says that. For the ACC tournament, they'll allow 3,100 fans. So you've got all of that in the mix there where it's a little bit more. It's almost like, you've heard the phrase, you give a mouse a cookie, they're going to want a glass of milk. It's kind of where we are with the COVID stuff. Well, if I could have 3,000, why can't I have 4? Well, if they're having 4, why can't we have 4? And it's going to come down to decisions made by the government in each state. So a lot of it depends on how the governor is handling it, to be completely honest. There's an adage out there that if they want to open up the and
get it to a point where, you can have 15,000 fans in the Colonial Life Arena. If everybody's going to sign a waiver, I think that's kind of the way to go. There's going to be people that don't go. I don't know if I would want to go and be in 80,000 fans right now without a lot of the vaccination out there, because I've had COVID and I don't want to get it again. No, but that's my choice. Okay. You could have the choice of, I don't care and I can go. That's what's great about America. You can do whatever you want to do. But for me, I don't know if I'd want to do that. I definitely don't want some of the elderly folks like my mother-in-law going to a game or whatever. I don't want that happening to her. But if people want to go, that's I think they should have the opportunity to go. I mean, I'm getting to that point with it. But I also think that by the time football season gets here, when we do our stuff with ACC kickoff and SEC media days and all of that coming up in July, I think we're going to be talking more about Clemson repeating as the ACC champion. Is Alabama going to be picked number one we're going to have talks like that. We're not going to be talking about the amount of folks that are in or out due to COVID. I really believe that's what we're going to go with here. I think that's what's going to happen. And to be honest, the first sport that I think is going to take the next big step is going to be the folks from Major League Baseball. Why? Because I honestly believe by the middle of June into July, they're going to be at least at 50% capacity in stadiums. I honestly believe that. And I think that football season, it's going to be 75% or more. Now, maybe I'm just an eternal optimist. Maybe that's just something that I want in my head. And I was thankful about the fact that we had a football season this year, but it just seemed kind of hollow without the fans there. I mean, not taking away anything from Alabama. They won the national title. I'm just talking about the overall experience. It seemed like it was kind of flat. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Lots of other things we can get in today. If you're buying what we're reading here, would you go to the ACC tournament or the SEC tournament right now if you could? Is it that big of a deal to you? A good story about Coach Williams getting close to victory number 900. I think Coach Williams is a great coach. Same thing for Coach Krzyzewski, but right now they're all chasing Florida State. Leonard Hamilton is the most disrespected coach in the country as far as on the basketball side goes. He's not the first coach you think about when you think about the ACC, but you should, because that Florida State program is on fire with the way that he's doing things. They just got to get over that hump and get that national title. But Florida State is really good. Really, really good. They don't get the respect they deserve. My buddy from Clemson Sports Talk, Lowell Adelet, Lowell the intern, can't stand Leonard Hamilton. I guess he doesn't like winning. Anyway, we got a lot more for you here on the rundown in just a moment. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Clemson's football schedule. Are you talking about basketball or football, Blake? If you're talking football, Clemson plays Georgia and South Carolina. That's their two SEC things. Well, LeBron's been playing like 18 years, so he should literally. Just saying. A lot of his stuff is longevity. I think that Torian is a good coach, And I think he's trying to rile his guys up, but the numbers show that right now they're kind of not. I mean, I'm not ripping South Carolina. They've got great defensive backs that have run through that program. But right now, they're just not quite there. Yeah, I think that I like Coach Gray, man. I think he's going to be outstanding for South Carolina. I really, really do. Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks to you folks today for checking out the show. I appreciate it as always. And of course, jacked up for a couple of games tonight. You've got Clemson and Wake Forest. I'll be watching some of that game right here in the studio as I do the rest of my job that I have here at iHeart Radio. And looking forward to see how Clemson is doing out of their quote-unquote COVID pause. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Full wrap-up on that and the South Carolina game, and who they play at Mississippi State tonight. Can they break that 5-game losing streak? Can they get up off the mat? You know, Frank Martin's teams every year, generally, this is about the time where they do really, really good and kind of play above where they – and Frank Martin's teams kind of do above where they are. This is kind of the time of year they normally do that. So we'll see if that continues. That's going to be interesting tonight. We'll see how that goes with the Gamecock basketball program. And our Gamecock fans at the point where they just don't care. I know that sounds kind of, yeah, they're not really doing anything. And my Gamecock Twitter, there's a lot more about baseball right now than there is about the basketball program. And there should be a lot of talk about the baseball program, to be honest with you. It's in the heart of basketball season, man. USC Gamecock fan online says Frank Martin is getting fired barring an SEC tournament win. I don't think they're going to fire Frank Martin. And I just think that, and once again, I try not to be a fanboy type guy here, but I just think Frank Martin's a great coach. I really do. I mean, he took a team here to the Final Four, and I know people get tired of hearing about that. What has he done since? This season, by the way, you could look at it from this perspective. There's a lot of the quote-unquote blue bloods that aren't playing very good basketball. So the COVID and the pauses and everything else can affect a lot of teams. I mean, it really can. North Carolina's not very good. Duke is not very good. I mean, insert team here. Kansas hasn't been playing very, very good, to be honest with you. Kentucky is a gong show. Kentucky's an absolute gong show. Do you think Coach Calipari forgot how to coach in 1 year? No. The pause and all of everything that goes with the COVID and how this season's just weird, I think it's affecting a lot of teams. Now, you can make an argument that South Carolina doesn't have that big man up front, and that's Frank Martin's fault. Yes, you could definitely go down that road, but you can't hit on every recruit. The South Carolina backcourt, I mean, with Cousinard and Seventh Woods, who, hasn't quite been what we thought he was going to be. And of course, AJ Lawson's going to be drafted in the NBA. I've seen several mock drafts with him going in. One of them, I saw him in the late first round, but definitely a second round pick. So there's talent down there at South Carolina. It seems like all the time there's just something that keeps biting at the program. And I don't think it has to do with Frank Martin. I think Frank Martin's a great coach. Who are you going to get that's going to come in and do what he's done? If you don't have an idea for a replacement, it's kind of short-sighted to say, hey, we got to get rid of this guy now. Doesn't make any sense, in my opinion. Now, if you think that someone else can do better with what the Gamecocks have, then see if you can get them to come here. But Frank Martin's respected across the country. Gamecock fan says, I agreed about COVID, but he was on the hot seat before this season. Yeah, I don't understand why he was in the hot seat, to be honest with you. And it's talking about Pat Kelsey and guys like that. Yeah. Blake says, if they fire Martin and hire Western Kentucky's head coach Rick Stansberry, South Carolina will go to the NCAA tournament every year. Yeah, they've already been burned by one. Wasn't the coach before Frank Martin? Wasn't he a Western Kentucky guy? I don't think they want to go down that road again. Martin had to build the program up where they were dropping games to USC Upstate. Mike Boynton's another guy that Gamecock fan here has here online. I don't know if Mike Boynton wants to leave to come back, but I think that especially with this year, you should give the guy time. He did frustrate me a couple weeks ago with the comment he made where they had X amount of top 20 wins since he's been there, and they've had the most wins in 3 years, etc. SEC wins, third most. That was a very Will Muschamp thing to say. When you hear that, it's like, really? Come on, coach. I mean, I would have had a lot more respect for the fact of, you do realize there's a Final Four banner hanging in that arena out there. I coached that team. You guys realize that, right? And by the way, you can go and watch those games in HD. So it wasn't that long ago. All right. It's not grainy footage that is on some VHS tape somewhere. So the idea that Frank Martin should go, I'm just not seeing it yet. I understand the Gamecock fan base gets upset, especially right now, losing 5 straight games and not looking very good. I mean, the last matchup with Mississippi State, they were right in it and then just got blown out. The matchup with Alabama, though, if you go back and look at that game, they hung with Alabama. Quite possibly the best team in the SEC, and ended up falling late. So you look at that and almost the yin and yang of it. What was it? Last season, they had a win on the road at Virginia. Not very many teams go into Virginia and win. So there's definitely a high and low there with Frank Martin. I just think with this year, it's almost like when you were playing Mario Brothers on Nintendo when you were a kid. Just hit the reset button and try again. I think that's the way to go with Frank Martin for this year. See what happens for the upcoming season. 803-978-1832. Jimmy says South Carolina forced out Eddie Fogler with unrealistic expectations. Yeah, you can definitely get into that too. I'm jacked up about the college baseball season. We're going to have a full preview of South Carolina and Clemson in the coming days. Also, Quarterback U. That will be up on Friday. Looking forward to that. Mr. Savage College Football will join us. As folks, someone sent me a message on Twitter. Why is Alabama in the top of all of your rankings? Because they put the most guys in the league. That's why. They're not going to be Quarterback U, though. Not enough guys in the league the past 10 years. Oklahoma will be in the mix. We'll get the Oklahoma haters hating on me later on. Gamecock fan says, let's hope Friday doesn't get rained out. Yeah, up at Clemson, that may happen. I'm jacked up for this series. I went to the last sporting event that I went to that college sporting event was the South Carolina Clemson game at the Fireflies Park last season before the world fell apart. So I guess seeing these two teams back out on the field, it kind of brings, I don't know, brings kind of a realism back for me. Anyway, SEC Dog says all Alabama quarterbacks are busting the NFL. That's fair. That's fair. All right, so be sure to check out my blog page. I'm going to have the video up of the Tennessee baseball players trolling the Tennessee football players by holding up a McDonald's bag after they hit a home run. That'll be on the blog page later on. Please share that with your friends. Also, Lawton Swan of Clemson Sports Talk is up next. Be sure to check out his show. Yes, we all love the Swan.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
He'll be on with you from 4 to 6. My name is Rob Sanders. This is The Rundown. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, we're going to have Jackpot on tonight. He's going to explain that. Have you seen the recruit that looks like he has a pacifier in his mouth? Yeah, we're going to talk about that, and we'll talk about his response to the basketball game, because I don't know how well Mississippi State's going to do. I appreciate you guys joining the show, man. If you could like the show, it'll help us with the YouTube thing as we try to spread us out a little bit here. And that's pretty much it. Whoever Mullen is coaching usually produces and developing quarterbacks. All right, tonight, guys, we'll see you later on, all right?